Yes.
My girlfriend.
My girlfriend.
My girlfriend.
Everybody, welcome to Girlfriends with Girlfriends. My name is Ashley Chantrice, and this is a channel where we discuss everything pertaining to girlfriends. As you all know, Netflix has put Girlfriends on their platform, and we are so excited because we've been screaming for the past 20 years that we want to see Toni, Joan, Lynn, and Maya screw up their lives for the most part. But, you know, these are all experiences that as adults we can identify with. So I am here with three of my best girlfriends. My best friend of 13 years, Khadijah Phillips. Hey, boo.
Hi.
And you look so beautiful. Yes, hoop earrings come all the way through, okay?
I love a good hoop.
Yes. My co-host, Priscilla, a.k.a. Prissy Missy. What's up, my girl?
Hey, I'm so excited to be back this week. I missed you guys.
Yes, we missed you too. Come on, ponytail. Yes.
Okay.
And then certainly not least, my homegirl, my loyal friend, my guardian princess, Miss Mary Ando. What is up?
What it do, baby?
Yes, melanin, honey. Yes, we have
Thank you.
Let's just get into it. We are on episode 3 of 1, and that is the episode where Maya is starting to hang out with Joan and Lynn and Toni a little more, and Toni feels some type of way about that. You know, Toni's a little bougie bitch, and she's like, when did our threesome become a force? Like, why you bringing this little girl from Inglewood in our crew? How do we feel about how Toni like not welcoming to Maya?
I think how Toni reacted is kind of typical of a lot of friendships. It's just the way that she reacted to it. I feel like we're all going to be a little taken off guard if we're used to having our best friends or our crew to ourselves, and then somebody new starts hanging around. Like, I feel like we all feel that sense of like, okay, who is this? Like, is she taking my spot? Like, what's happening? But it's the way Toni reacted to it. I mean, Toni really just don't like anybody but herself. So I feel like if you get close to Toni, then that means a lot. So I think it's just like, she felt like maybe Joe needed to come to her like, oh, I have a new friend. You should meet her and approve of her before she hangs out with us, which was just not the right way.
Toni's such a jerk, but yeah, that definitely makes sense because she was like, Joan is mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, because Joan basically went along with a lot of things that Toni said and did, and Maya had a smart mouth and she used to give it right back to Toni. So I feel like that's another reason why she didn't really take to her, because she wasn't for Toni's BS.
No, she didn't like it. I mean, it is like that. Like, well, I never really experienced that just because I'm like, I was never the friend that had a lot of friends. Like, if I had friends, it just happened by accident. Yeah. But a lot of friendships I have are brought from other girls. So, like, I'll have a really good friend and then she'll bring them around. Like AB. Outgoing. Everybody loves her. For some reason, everybody didn't love me. So
they did. They hated.
Not love me. I don't know why.
Really?
Yes, I did not have a lot of friends. When I transferred to Ashley's high school, when we went together, I was not everybody's cup of tea. I didn't speak to anybody. Wow. I just was not everybody's cup of tea. So when Ashley brings friends around, I'm like, oh, hi, like me too.
You transferred to a new school and people are just kind of like standoffish, or is this just kind of like something that you've gone through your entire life where people just kind of like
forever?
Really?
Like, yes.
Wow.
With other women, I've always had to be overly outgoing to make them comfortable, like speaking with me and liking me, because I don't know if I have like rest in bitch face or what it is, but they do not come and speak to me. It's just never been a thing. So when Ashley would just bring people around and kind of like introduce me to people like, oh yeah, this Khadijah, she's cool. And you guys all know Ashley is just the glue one. Like she's like, hey guys, we should do this or you should meet her. So I was grateful for that.
That's so funny that you're saying this because you're kind of preaching to the choir. Like Priscilla knows this. So Priscilla is like Energizer Bunny, talk to every single person, can strike up a friendship right away. For me, I'm quiet, like, and I'm more observant, and it takes a while for me to be comfortable. So Khadijah, what you said, like, is so relevant to me about how you feel like you have to be overly outgoing for women to feel comfortable. Like, I've never been able to explain it, but that's exactly what like I be going through, like, especially in college. And Priscilla will tell you, like, we will walk into maybe like a gathering and like I'll already be getting these women and they'll be like, oh hey Prissy, oh hey girl, like, you know, like be super friendly with Prissy. But mind you, like to your point, I won't do anything. I'll just come in, I'm quiet, I sit down. And Priscilla has a theory. She's just like, well, I feel like women see you as quiet, so they think you're sneaky. And I'm like, that's her theory of how women, like, the differences of how people react to, like, her and I.
Oh, no, ma'am. Oh, no, ma'am. No, ma'am.
I never thought of it that way. That's a interesting take, Priscilla. I never thought that that's what it could be.
Yeah, you know, Mary, like, she's just, like, quiet to herself, like, you know, she's more of an introvert. And so I feel like they don't really know how to read her or like, what is she here for? Like, you know what I'm saying? Who is she? Like, you know, so it kind of gives off that, like, maybe in their head, like a standoff-ish energy. But I feel like that's also why, I was just talking to somebody about this, why it's also easier, I feel like, to make friends with men than women. Because I feel like, I don't know, women are always like in competition with each other. There's always like this reason as to why maybe they don't want to like you. Like you said, maybe it's your resting bitch face, but like, why is that a reason for a woman to not like come and approach you? Where it's like, you know, a guy like not on some like creep stuff, but like he'll still come and approach you, like, you know, like, hey, you know, is everything good?
Toni definitely was having like some jealousy issues when it came to Joan. She was very territorial. I also think she was intimidated by Maya, and the fact that Maya was so like outspoken and proud of her Blackness. And that was something that Toni has been kind of shying away from. Like, oh, I'm not this big, loud country girl from Fresno. I'm this Beverly Hills Black Barbie. But Maya was, you know, beautiful and smart and all of those things, but she was proud to be from Inglewood. Like, she wasn't trying to like act like Joan or, you know, like try to be something that she wasn't. And to be completely honest, like that was the issue with Khadijah in high school. Like, girls didn't like her because she was the pretty light-skinned girl who all the boys liked and wanted. And they were like, oh, we've been here for years. You know, this girl, literally, sister, the girl that was like, I don't know who Khadijah thinks she is, coming here, thinks she can take everybody, man.
Literally, we're just walking in the hallway. I'm like,
yeah.
Man, I haven't even spoken to anybody.
So it's literally like a jealousy issue, you know what I mean? And when you know Khadijah, like she's the sweetest, like most loving person in the world. But when you're an insecure girl, like we women yet, we were still children. You look at as your competition, you know what I mean? Like they definitely saw her as that. So I definitely get why.
I didn't want no smoke. Like how Joan ran from that fight. I didn't want no smoke. I just was not like that. I was like, we could be friends. I do not want to fight.
I honestly don't know. Like, it's funny that you say that because it's like there are women like that who you'll go out of your way to be friendly and they'll immediately just kind of shut it down. And it could just be because of stuff that has, maybe they have trust issues with women and things have happened and they just really have a wall up. But it's just kind of funny because it's like, you know, people with personalities like Khadijah and I, like, you approach us in a friendly manner and like you get to know us and it's like, we're not going to shut you down. We're like literally the friendliest people. Like, but it's like perceptions from like our facial expression or just like how we move. Or I think to your point, Ashley, like there's a certain thing that threatens other people when you're very self-assured. And for people who aren't self-assured yet or are still in that journey, it throws them off, like, or it seems threatening to them, or like Priscilla's point, they can't figure you out. But the part of friendship is like, you shouldn't be able to just figure out people on the spot. Like that's the part of developing friendships. Like it's like a relationship. You're still figuring out like every single day what makes that person tick, like what makes that person who they are. But I would always say like for women who are just actually standoffish, like maybe they've had bad experiences, but I always get confused because there are women who would be like, oh, I don't have women friends. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not worth it. And I don't believe that. Like I have a lot of guy friends, but I've always really cherished like my friendships that I do have with women.
I think also we don't think about this, but you know, you might feel like, okay, I'm the most self-assured or like I'm the most confident person, but like people don't think that you do mirror like your insecurities, you know what I'm saying? So maybe these are things that you're not thinking about, but maybe like Khadijah walks in the room and maybe you have this, you see something in her, right? That you don't even realize that's an insecurity of yours. And until you become self-aware about those things, you're going to constantly continue to bring the same energy. You know, Toni comes off as this like confident, you know, she's got this great job, makes a lot of money, you know, does her thing. But then, you know, Maya, who's like, you know, suppose she's from the hood, you know, she's like, what's it called? She's Joan's assistant, you know, obviously she's not making as much money, but she's confident and she doesn't realize that the things that Maya has, these are things that she wants within herself. And I feel like she just never realized that about herself. You know, Maya's able to say whatever is on her mind. Maya didn't care what people thought about her. Like Toni always had to keep this image, right? And if Toni ever found herself in Maya's place, she would not be comfortable. Whereas Maya, like she could like be at the bottom of the road and she would still feel good about herself. She was confident about herself. Like you just could not like comfort her, no matter how many times Toni came for her. Sis was ready, okay? Sis was ready for her.
Always ready.
You have to come back.
You can kiss my ass or give my ass a kiss.
Give my ass a kiss.
So how about you give my ass a kiss or kiss my ass?
So first let's talk about how Toni was just so adamant, like, girl, you've never been to Paris. Like, why was it that she looked down on her so much? And Priscilla hit it on the head, in my opinion. She felt like she was Joan's assistant. You know, it's like, how are you? And she even made a comment like, when you start making friends with the help, you know what I mean? Not, oh my, you're mentoring another young Black woman at your firm. That's amazing. Like, let's bring her to hang out with us. But I think that's the perception. You know, that's something that we would all do. But Toni, like you said, she sees Maya as a threat to her friendship with Joan. And Maya has a husband, you know, like she isn't like, oh, I'm going to go try to find a rich man. Like, no, she's with the man that she had a child with. She has a kid. She has a husband. It may not be a glamorous life like Toni has, but she still has something that Toni longs for. And Joan, you know what I mean? Lynn, not so much. Want to fuck everybody, but there is a reflection of everything that Toni herself doesn't have. And, you know, she feels like, you know, she maybe hangs out with Joan more because they see each other at work all day. So with that being said, you know, they go to the club and, you know, Maya has the hookup because she's everybody's cousin in LA. How do we feel about Joan not jumping in the fight?
I would have jumped in. Now, I don't go looking for fights, but my best friend, listen, no, y'all, and then she was fighting on her behalf. is the thing. She knew Joan wasn't gonna step, so she's fighting. The least you can do is grab a strand of hair. Just do something. Like, you have to jump in a little bit.
Like, do something.
Did you pinch the bitch? What's that?
He said, sidebar.
What's funny is, you know what? Just thinking back, actually, that happened to me, my best friend, where
we sure did. Not me, though. I'm not the best friend that it happened to.
No,
just to make that clear, not me.
She's like, nope, didn't happen. No, but yeah, so we were out for my best friend's birthday, like waiting around, and we actually got jumped. We got jumped, like, well, she was mainly jumped, but like, so it was all these group of people. They literally all jumped her. And mind you, like me, I've never been in a fight. She's literally like getting jumped, but like I'm like freaking out, but I'm like trying to help her too, while all these people are literally like on top of her, and she's like literally fighting for her life. Back to your point of, pull a hair or two. I did what I could, you know what I'm saying? Because I never had experience throwing hands. And mind you, it was honestly like, it was a good like 10 people over like technically like one person. And the reason they jumped is because the girl said that my friend's hair blew in her face. And she got mad. Just some petty stuff just to fight. And so her hair blew in her face. And then she literally spun my friend around. And then that's how it all started. And her goons came out of nowhere. And it was just chaos.
Y'all was at the taco spot after.
Yeah, they were at Don Taco.
Spot. We were.
They were at Don Taco. To the point, Joan could have done something, especially like, and she brought up the fact, she's like, well, I'm a lawyer. Like, I have a job to protect and I have an image to protect. But here's the thing, like, all those things fly out the window, I feel like, when it comes to friendship or when it comes to doing what's right. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all have jobs, like, your job could fire you for anything. Like, they could literally come the next day and be like, we don't want you here anymore. And you may not have done anything. So for me, it was just like, first of all, this is like your best friend and it's right by you. So it's like, if you're just like standing there like this, like, no, Joan, at least like pull a hair, like yank, like do something. So I definitely think Joan was wrong. I was actually surprised at how much I felt like Toni was right to like be upset at her.
Funny how Joan was like, I can't do that. I'm a lawyer. Like, bitch, you can get us all out of jail. Like, what do you mean?
This is self-defense.
The charges
and they're gonna believe you, the lawyer. So it's like, use what you got, girl. Like, use that for good, because
it was an excuse. It was an excuse.
Yeah, Joan didn't want to fight.
This was not confident in her work as a lawyer. That's what it was.
What's crazy, like, I remember that night you're talking about, because Mary told me about it maybe a couple days later. She was like, girl, Priscilla and the other friend, I don't know if she wanted to say her name.
I put her out there.
I'm like, no, you're not telling me the truth. No, Priscilla did not fight anybody. Like, what are you saying? But it was like, though, like, they jumped her, but she was on the ground giving them some go. Like,
I remember saying, I was impressed because the friend and like, we're all from the suburbs, but the friend is even more so from the suburbs. So I was like, I was happy to see it, because I'm like, yes, like, she did not back down. That girl was big. Like, the girl who attacked her for no reason was big. And I was like, yeah, she was on the ground. I was like, yes.
It was some local, like, hater ass chicks, just like the episode we're talking about. Like, how you gonna walk up to them and just be like, they was pointing at me like, yo, bony, and was like, my ass is perfect, you bald headed bitch.
And Toni was just always ready. And I appreciated the fact that she acknowledged Maya and was like, I think that maybe she didn't necessarily like Maya at that moment, but she respected her, because she was just like, you don't even know me and you jumped in from, and that's how I feel like, if you go out with people, like, you're with those people, like, protect the people that you're with.
Agreed.
That's real cold. That's rule number one. of going out. Like,
Yep.
And then Joan asked him, she was like, why do men like to watch women fight? He was like, fighting as long as they're touching each other. I don't
I can't stand William.
it's so funny. All right, Toni has said something else though. She was like, I'm tired of women thinking they can try me because I'm pretty. And they do that. They will do that because you're nice and quiet, and they just think. So, like I said, eventually I had to start giving it right back because you're not just gonna keep playing me and talking to me like this. I have done nothing to you, so now I gotta throw shade every 2 seconds because you throwing shade. Like, this is just what we gonna do. That's just how it's gotta go now.
And that's exhausting, I feel like. Like, you know, to your point of trying people who don't do nothing to anybody. Because that's how I feel sometimes. Because I'm like, okay, I'm very chill. I don't come for anybody. That should be the main reason you don't play with me, because I'm crazy if you push it. Like, that should be the main reason you should leave me alone. But I also think, like, it just goes to show like how insecure you are in yourself if you keep pushing the buttons of someone who like doesn't bother you, is minding their own business, is doing, you know, is doing them. So I think it was somebody's point, I forgot who made it earlier. I think it was you, Prissy, about like sometimes we see things in other people that we wish we had, and we have a negative reaction to it. And that's why we start acting out. Like, we see people who are totally opposite of us, who maybe feel comfortable in an aspect of their lives that like we might not feel comfortable with, or just might be petty jealousy.
You would want to befriend that person so you can maybe learn something like, okay, like you have this, I'm missing this. Like, maybe let me link to you.
Yeah.
You see what I can get from this. Like, how can your energy help my energy?
I agree. And I wonder if it's maybe like a pride thing where women feel like, well, we can't go to someone and be like, hey, you have something that I feel like I lack. Like, I want to learn from you. Maybe it's hard I think it's just as people, because I feel like men probably deal with it too. Like, they'll be in competition. What does that meme say? Like, they'll call dudes big bro when they really want to be like that. But no, I feel that like the other day at work, there was this woman, we had to take like some sort of certification, and like one of the women I saw, she had like the highest score on the certification, and she had actually reached out to me at a time to meet. And I'm not gonna lie, I felt threatened by this woman. I was just like, oh my God, she's such a boss. Like, I don't want to meet with her because I am not up to her standards. Like, she was my age. I'm like, damn, like, she's amazing. So I accepted her invitation to meet on Friday. Come to find out, like, she had been director level, and she's just like, hey, if you want, like, every couple of weeks, I can meet with you and answer any questions that you have. And like, I was like, because she didn't have to do that. And then I just remember my initial feelings of like seeing her, and I was like, dang, like, she's such a boss. But it ended up going the total different direction. Like, she could possibly be a mentor to me. I think we just have to like humble ourselves sometimes. Like, look, there's other women who may have what we want, and it's not a bad thing. Like, we could learn from each other.
But that's coming from a mature like mindset. You know what I mean? Like, she probably felt in her younger years that there were no Black women that reached down to her and wanted to elevate them. So maybe she saw you know, someone who is one of the few Black faces and in the company. Let me not be who, you know, disregarded me when I was younger, because we definitely absolutely need Black women, like, mentorship in these predominantly white. And I think that's something that Toni didn't understand about Joan's friendship with Maya. And it's something she didn't want to understand because, you know, Toni's a child.
Yeah, Toni child. Toni child. Sometimes it's over men. And as someone who keeps a lot of male friends, and that is just it, like, my male friends respect me. They know that there's a line that they can never cross. And one of them told me one day, because there's this girl who still doesn't like me. And he's just like, she doesn't like you because when you come around the guys, we respect you. When you come around the guys, you don't have to do too. Like, you're not like, you're just one of the guys. And I feel like that's also something that, you know, comes into play. And I wish it wasn't like that, because it's like, these men ain't shit.
Right. You would want to befriend you so you can be like, listen, he not the one.
And girl, you could have put her on game. Yeah. And, you know, been like, girl, this is how you be friends with these guys, girl, get in the circle. But her loss.
I always wonder, I'm just like, why do women not think like, why don't I become friends with her so she can keep me on the end of what my man is doing? Mm-hmm. Because she do not want, like, I do not want these men. Oh, you know, so, but
men don't deserve nice things.
That's true. They don't.
So how do we feel about, I think Davis made the comment and Joan kind of, for some reason, agreed with it. And William, being the Black conservative, that he kind of reiterated as well. They said, why we got to give white people more something to talk about? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, y'all know how I feel about respectability politics, like, period. Because they like most of the outlandish behavior, most of the fights and crazy public displays that I've seen have been from white people. You know what I mean? And like, they don't get held to this standard of, you know, oh, look at them, this is how they act. You know what I mean? I think it's BS. And I definitely feel like, you know, I don't know if that was like a message that was supposed to be portrayed in the episode, or if that was something that, you know, they kind of wanted to say because, you know, a lot of Black people think like that. And there was an issue with on the recently Real Housewives of Potomac, there was a physical altercation.
Get your hand on my face. Get your hand on my face. You put
hey. And Dr. Wendy, one of the cast members, was saying like, this is why we don't get invited to, this is why we don't get a seat at the table. Like, first of all, every other housewife franchise, like, you got white women throwing off their legs and throwing them on the tables. You got white women throwing the food.
Like New Jersey, you had women flipping the table. Teresa wasn't about it.
Listen.
19 times? Coming to my class! You
girl, Teresa.
I love Teresa.
I love Teresa.
That's my girl.
Oh, when they chased that girl out remember that the daughter.
Yep.
They chased that Danielle, yanked that lady hair out, chasing her out.
So why? Yeah. Danielle and Margaret and Danielle.
Just can't help myself.
Y'all know Priscilla know her housewife show. She know them shows.
You know I do. They be coming on my page, so shout out to them.
Like, why is it that white women get so much grace and so much, like, you know, just room to be angry and be all of those things? But, you know, we are human. We are women. We are emotional. We get into it and we do all those things. Of course, it's not right. Nobody's excusing the behavior, but don't make it seem like that's why we don't get a seat at the table. Because at the end of the day, and this is me directly to Dr. Wendy, if you, as beautiful and as smart as you are with your 4 degrees, if that's a table that they don't want to invite you to based off of the actions of another Black woman, that's a table that don't deserve to have you there.
Make your own table.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And make space for other Black women. And, you know, like, don't try to assimilate yourself and acclimate into, oh, please accept me. I'm a Black, but I'm smart and I'm all of these things. Like, don't look at me like other Black women. Like, no, bump that. I'm a Black. I'm just
Dr.
like
Wendy. Is she the Nigerian American?
Yep.
The new housewife. Okay. So
it makes sense why she thinks that way.
Yeah. So somebody actually shared her profile with me. And I will say this, as an African who was raised like in the United States, Africans have a lot to learn when it comes to respectability politics. Like, this is something that is ingrained from when we were children. Like, I don't want to generalize, but a lot of our parents and our elders hold white people in an esteemed manner. You know what I'm saying? So it's even more so than Black Americans in the United States. Like, I feel like Africans just have this sense of like, it's very tightly like decorum and behavior. And a lot of it may have to do with the fact that like we came from another country, and we had to do maybe double based off of our accents, based off of our not knowing the culture. Like, we had to do a lot to assimilate into the culture. And so I don't agree with her at all, but it's funny that she would be the one that says that, because that is something that we really have to like break the mold about. Like, white people are not God. We don't have to answer to them. They're not also like, this might not make any sense, but like when you go to Africa, like white people are the minority. Like, if you see like a white person in Ghana, it's like, oh, what are you doing here? Like, you know, it's very strange.
That's how
But
it
like,
should be.
but it's like they're adored, I would say. Like, even I don't know if you would agree with this, Priscilla, but like one of my white friends was recently in an African wedding we did, and like people will go crazy over the one white person in an African wedding. Like, they love to see it, you know?
Yes.
So I think it's just like getting out of that sense of like, why are we so fascinated by like white people? Like, why are they, you know, the standard? So hopefully Dr. Wendy watches this, you know, we can kind of change that narrative for our kids, because it shouldn't be like that.
Because it's like, why do we spend so much time trying to prove ourselves?
It's just like, brain though, like especially like me being the only Black woman where I work, the only one. There were two of us. She's not there anymore, so it's just me. So it's kind of like you don't want to not like you just don't want them looking at you a certain way or thinking a certain way about, just because it's just not because of how you may feel, but it's just uncomfortable to have people thinking negatively about you. Like, you can say you don't care, and I can like portray that, but it's still like, it's weird. Like, I just don't know how to explain. It's just a weird feeling, especially in corporate
like
America.
You wanna, you know, in your mind, like you just, you know, they already have these stereotypes, right? And so you kind of want to be that person that kind of like changes their stereotype of like, you know, what they already perceive us to be. And so, like you said, it's like,
they know.
Right.
So
we
like,
can
you
sit
kind
there
of
and
want to
say,
put
oh,
on
we
a
don't
good
care
front for them. Right. Like, for everybody, like, you want to be the one who's like, okay, they might not have day-to-day conversation with the Black person. Like, probably not. So like, you kind of feel like you're like that representative.
Right.
Which is sucks, but you feel like you have to be the one to represent, like, no. We're fine. Which it really sucks. So we shouldn't have to do that.
We shouldn't have to.
Added pressure that nobody needs.
On top of like having to work twice as hard, you know, just to get to where you want to get, and like proving yourself every day, just like, I deserve to be here, you know? So like you said, like, we can sit here and say, oh, we don't care, or like, why are we trying to prove ourselves? But like you said, it's just kind of ingrained in like who we are, whether we choose not to or we do like consciously. It's just like a natural like thing.
I just think, you know, once we get out of the mind frame of I have to prove myself, but then again, we can't get out of it because we know we have to be 2 times better to get half as much as what they have. So you have to navigate and learn how to be and operate in these spaces, knowing all of that. That's why it's so damn exhausting working where we work and doing what we do, because we know that we have so many things against us and we can't react to it, you know, because any reaction is angry Black girl, like, oh my God, here she goes again. Like, no, I won't be You know what I mean?
I say, like, I'm 30. I just started being comfortable enough using my real name.
Oh, really?
In other places, yes.
Wow.
I will always I go by D.
Oh,
Because
Wow.
just growing up, it got to the point, mind you, this isn't a black name. This isn't an Islamic name.
yeah.
But, okay. But like growing up, like I would always know when the substitute got to my name because they couldn't say it. So like I just started adapting to like just say D. My first job, work study job in college. This lady, and I'm gonna say her name, this lady Peggy, because Peggy pissed me off. Peggy, when my first day there, I'm getting introduced to everybody. I'm gonna do reception. Like, this is Khadijah. She's like, who? Like, we gonna have to go by another name or something. Maybe we can call you Emily or something. We gonna have to give you a work name.
What?
Yes. And I didn't say anything.
Wow.
I know ever since then, I have gone by D at any job that I work in.
Oh, wow.
Because it just was easier that way.
And that's so funny you say that, because I found your name. I didn't have such a plain name. Like, I love your name. Like, literally, I used to think of like, damn, I wish my name was this. I wish my name was that. Like, I literally thought my name was just, I mean, obviously, like, no disrespect to the mother of Jesus, but it's so funny because, like, your name is beautiful to me. Like, I would have wanted like a name like Khadijah. You know what I'm saying? That's so crazy.
I just got comfortable saying that. Like, I would just, even now, like, I still, like, I'm getting in the habit now of when I answer the phone, I'm like, this is Khadijah instead of this is D. Because it's like, no, you can say my name. You weren't saying it because you didn't feel that you had to, and me shortening it and making it easier for you. No, you're going to say Khadijah, and you're going to say it correctly. And if not, I will correct you. So like when
that's how I felt about your last name, Prissy. Remember, like when we were in college, and like I would be like, no, you need to let them pronounce your last name the way it's supposed to be.
Oh yeah. I mean, I struggled with that my whole life. And so like, you know, I mean, no pressure on my parents, but they were just like, you know, you can just switch it to like the American. So I literally would say like what it looks like, but what it doesn't even sound like. And so that's literally like how I grew up. Yeah, it looked not like my last name looks nothing like how it sounds like nothing like it, you know. And I remember even in one of my courses, the teacher was like making jokes like, oh, why isn't it like, you know, this, or why isn't it like that? And I was just like, sir, this is my last name. But now, like you, Khadijah, like I'm very comfortable now, like, you know, correcting people, like even over the phone, even if it's like a customer service rep, I'm just like, no, this is how you say like my last name, you know, because I mean, why should we excuse people when, you know, Wojciechowski, right? It's like 30 letters, but like people have no problem saying Wojciechowski. You don't
go to grade school, use your phonics.
You're gonna learn today.
Exactly.
Do y'all know the lady from Orange is the New Black, Uzo Ado? She made an amazing comment. She said that, you know, because obviously her name is a lot longer. Like I would still have to like really work at pronouncing it. But she was saying like she wanted to shorten her name, and her mom told her if white people can say Czechoslovakia and Yugoslavia, they can.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, Khadijah, I never knew that about you. That's why you go by D at work, because
that's why I go by work. Like, yeah. Whenever somebody would hesitate to say it or couldn't say it, I'm like, it's okay. You could just call me D.
Yeah.
Can we give everybody else grace, right? And like to your point, Ashley, like Black women never get the grace. Like we literally can pronounce, like you said, all those last names. And why can't you try when it comes to me? You know what I'm saying? Like, where is the effort? You know, and even if you say it wrong, like the correct thing to do is like, how do you pronounce your name? That's it. Like, it's not that hard.
Right. And they call Black people lazy. Y'all don't even want to pronounce our names. Who's lazy? As a Black woman with a very white sounding name, like my Ashley Brown, like, oh man, it works to my advantage because I get every interview I ever submit my resume for. also with my credentials. But of course, they're like, oh, she has to be white. The only thing is my first name is spelled a little different. So I think people want to ask like, oh, about the spelling of my name. My middle name is actually what I run my business under. It's what I kind of go by professionally. It's the name that my dad just kind of made up, is Chantrice. I've always wished that was my name. I always wanted like a name like Khadijah or something a little more special. I tell my mom I something a little more, you know, flavorful. But my mom
a little more razzle dazzle.
Well, no, my mom is doing too much. Y'all, my middle name is Iyanla. Right. Like, it's just too much in the name.
Khadijah,
You're 6 trying to spell this like, huh? Like, how you say it, Mom? Like,
no, because honestly, like, I truly love your name. I remember one time, I don't know who I was talking to, but I think it was somebody at work, and her name was also Mary. She was an older woman, and she's just like, wow. She's like, I rarely see young people with the name Mary anymore. And I was like,
hey, that's shade, friend. That was shade.
And I felt it. I was like,
I know Mary. Dang.
Right.
Like,
no, Jesus' mom, but
you know, like for an older, and she was much older, for her to be like, yeah, like I rarely see that in the young ones anymore. And I was like, see, this is why I wanted a different name.
And honestly, I think having a conversation with my mom once, I think she said like, I didn't give you like a name like the other Black girls because I wanted you to be able to get a job. Like, and look back, like not being as woke as I am, like I should have, you know,
put 2 and 2 together. Yeah.
But no, absolutely not. Like, to every little Black girl out there with a difficult sounding name, your name is not difficult. Make them learn it, make them scream it, make them spell it. You know,
Tirza, my daughter Tirza, they will Tirza. They can say it. It's not hard. They can say your name.
It's funny that you felt like your name was basic, because I used to always get mad at my parents, and I guess I wanted a more basic name like Kiki. I'll never forget. Like, I wanted a basic name like Kiki.
Basic name.
So it's just so. I'm like, why is my name Priscilla? Like, why? Yeah, and it's so crazy because now I have a friend whose name is Kiki, but and it's spelled Kiki, and I was like, I wish this was my name. So it's just so funny. It's like what you don't have, you want, right? The grass is greener on the other side.
I love hearing this.
You don't
I
want
love
it.
hearing this because that makes me feel like not crazy. So me and my therapist touched on this briefly, and he has like been exploring with me like why as an African I always ran towards Black culture more. And like he was just like, why didn't you want to be like the white people in middle school? Like, you know, there's some Africans who like, you know, they go to that side. Like, why did these names or these shows like draw you in? So I love hearing that because like I just always wanted a different name. And I used to be like, people don't care. But now I realize I'm not crazy.
I could not stand it. It literally means, like, it wasn't that deep. It just means firstborn. And I was the firstborn. So, like,
but it just sounds so beautiful. Like, I just love that. I just love Muslim names. Like,
well, thank you.
And there is so much power in name, girls. So, like, you know, we don't even think about this. Because yesterday I was talking to my sister about this. And I was like, oh, I would love to name my daughter, like, Harper. Like, that's, like, one of the names that I think about. And she was like, oh, my God, like, why? She actually said, why don't you name her Mary? And I was like, that's not resonating.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
She said that. She was like, why? She was like, why don't you name your daughter Mary? And I was like, well, the Mary's not resonating with me the way Harper has resonated.
Do y'all think that's why? Because Antoinette was Toni Childs. Antoinette Marie Childs.
That is her name. Mm-hmm.
So y'all think that's why Toni went by Toni and not Antoinette?
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, girl.
Especially
Antoinette. Oh my God. That's such an old name. And like Toni wanted to be modern, and like she thought herself of a millennial woman, like hip. And if you go by what you think you should be, in her mind, like that wasn't Beverly Hills, that wasn't LA, that wasn't cool, you know? So
that pretty much wraps up episode 3. We talked about jealousy between girlfriends. We talked about girl fights, both things that we both have experienced. We talked about Black respectability politics, how we all feel about that. And more importantly, we all came away with an understanding of, you know, just watching this episode as an adult, you know, that's definitely not something that we would have explored as children. But now that we can actually talk about it, now that we've been through those situations and we can kind of share our own anecdotes and personal stories, I think a lot of people who watch this, especially Black women, will be able to identify. So thank you guys for joining us for, you know, as we discuss episode 3 of season 1 of Girlfriends with Girlfriends, with my girlfriends, and our unofficial 5th co-host, Tirza. Where is she?
Girlfriend, hey, pretty thing. My girlfriend, hey, pretty, my girlfriend.
This could be something. This could be.
Once again, like, men don't deserve nice things. That's my quote.